All right, here we go again. Today is Thursday, the 9th day of December, and I am here to give you some more continuing education on your essential oils. And as you can probably tell, I'm very nasally today, very stuffy. So it's probably good timing that I'm talking about the doTERRA's product called Breathe. This has been part of my regimen for the last day and a half, and along with some other ones that I'm going to share with. So it's probably a good thing that, yeah, again, we're talking about Breathe. And Breathe has it's a family of products. So, and no, I'm actually not as bad as I sound. So just so you guys know this. I just started getting a scratchy throat the other day, and I was like, where did this come from? Anyway, so here I am. And then this morning I had a really nice surprise of 2 baby goats. So that took a little more time this morning and more outdoor stuff that I really didn't want to do, but expected because they came earlier than what was expected. So, so I'm Diana Hinkle. Thank you for joining me. And for those of you that are going to watch this replay, thank you for watching the replay. Breathe is one of those products that doTERRA's had out for quite some time. And I have used this on infants that were a week old, all the way up to a little more age than me. So it's and is an oil that is and can be very good for our respiratory system and helping in that respiratory support. So with that, we'll talk about the different ways I have used it, along with really what it is and what's in it. How does it work? Why would you want to create and have this as part of your regimen if needed, right? It's not always needed, but there's a lot of other things that we can utilize this essential oil for on an emotional level. So it's not always about our physical issues that we have going on. What's our emotional issues that we have going on that we're not aware of? That maybe we can use this for other things. So Breathe in itself is a complete blend of different essential oils. You've got eucalyptus in there, you've got laurel leaf, you've got peppermint, you've got melaleuca, you've got lemon, and you have Ravensara. Ravensara is not one that we get on a as a single oil. It's only in our blends. Laurel leaf comes out every now and then. We had some here not too long ago that I hope that some of you took advantage of getting that laurel leaf for free, which is something that when you have a wholesale account with doTERRA, there's ways of getting free products. And that was one of our free products recently. So laurel leaf happens to be one of those. It's a very antifungal, antiseptic, and those are the properties that it has. So it not only helps us in those ways, but like things like bronchial issues, those viral infections. This is what it helps. And by the way, this is not anything to treat, cure, diagnose. This is only information you do with you decide what you want to do with that information. I just know that I am so happy so many times that I have an arsenal at my fingertips instead of feeling like what I am right now and going, oh my gosh, okay, so now I have to run to the store because I don't have anything, right? How many of us are prepared for that? Probably not very many of us, right? So when something happens, we're either asking someone to go for us or we go ourselves. So should we go ourselves? No, we shouldn't. But a lot of times we do. Got to go get the cough syrup. Got to go get the nasal stuff or whatever it is that's going on. That's what we're going to do. So this is all about being prepared, for one, to have things at your fingertips that you can use when issues do come up. So obviously for respiratory support, anything bronchial in the chest, nasal, those kinds of things, right? Those seasonal threats can also be, this can be very helpful for. If you have asthma going on, this is another thing that can help you out in between. And I've actually helped someone with, we were out in the middle of nowhere, literally, and someone is flagging us down. They had a flat tire and couldn't get their spare tire out. And the mother, so we have the mother, kids, and the grandma. So grandma was having an attack, and she was trying to find her inhaler and couldn't find it. And I'm like, well, I happen to have an option if you're open to that. And she did. So I got the breathe out. So I'm going to teach you something that if this ever happens to you or someone you know, you can help them. Okay. This isn't replacement, but sometimes this is all it needs. So what you would do is you take your breathe oil and you got to take the lid off, right? And you put a drop. I'm not going to take the lid off, but you put a drop in your hand, or simply take the lid off and smell the bottle. And you're going to cuff your hand over the bottle or over your fist, okay? And you're going to breathe it in really well and then let it go back out. And you're going to do that several times. This is a good way of helping open those airways so that you can start breathing again. Because what happens in this situation is those airways contract, right? And so you can't get your breath. And that's what those inhalers are for. That's a steroid. This is not a steroid. This is something that's completely natural. So using it in that way is very helpful. And it was helpful for her because she completely quit. It was, that's all she needed. She eventually found her inhaler. But at least I was able to make a bad situation better. And that's what we're supposed to do. That's what this is all about. Whether we are doing this as a business or just a wholesale customer, is if you have things and you go out and about, the basic oils, just take the basic oils with you. You never know when someone's going to need something that you have and you can help them. If you are, so that's a great way for the asthma, but if you're also someone that is snoring, because you know the breathe can help for that, you can apply 1 to 2 drops over the bridge of your nose, because typically a lot of times the reason we're snoring is because we can't breathe through our nose. So put a little bit over the bridge and be careful not to get it in your eyes. And you will also, because it's got peppermint in there, you're going to have the fumes from the oil for the eyes. So you might weep for a little bit. That's okay. It's not going to hurt you, but just don't get it in your eyes. If you ever get an essential oil in your eyes, don't use water. Water is a driver and it makes it go farther. So it deepens it. Okay, it penetrates in farther really quicker. So don't use water to wash it off. You even want to do a fat substance like a fractionated coconut oil or any kind of oil that you have. It's great. Just kind of put it over the eye. It'll dissipate, anywhere from 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then you'll be fine. I promise you won't go blind. I really do. Because I don't know how many times I've said when you grab the bottle, how many times there's always residue on these bottles, right? Because you're taking the lid off, right? And you're putting your finger on that. So what are you doing? Closing the lid and then so practice what you preach. I made the mistake one day and it's like, oh, for Pete's sakes. So yes, and we've had classes too, in-person classes where the same thing happened. So we just know what to do. Don't use the water. Make sure that you don't have sensitive skin. Most people can use breathe neat, meaning that we don't need to put any carrier oil with it, which typically we use fractionated coconut oil because there's no, it soaks in quickly and there's no fragrance to fractionated coconut oil. It's just a liquid. So it's your coconut oil without the fats in it. It's a clear liquid. If you are someone that has sensitive skin, don't put it someplace where it's going to burn you because peppermint can be very sensitive to the skin. which is really good. I don't have it in front of me, but it comes in a roller. So there is Breathe Touch. It comes in a roller bottle like this, in a 10 ml bottle, which means that Breathe Touch means that it has been mixed with fractionated coconut oil already. And so we don't have to worry so much about that skin irritation. Now there's some other ways that we can, for the delivery method, especially because if we do have sensitive skin, you can put it on the bottom of your feet and put your socks on. Okay, go to bed at night if you're all like this, then put it on the bottom of your feet. That's our biggest pores and the least sensitivity. So many places you can put it. So like for me, there's a couple things I'm using. I'm using the Breathe Stick. You can't see that very well, can you? So Breathe Stick is it is that. It's like the Vicks Vapor Stick, but this is all natural. And so I put some on my chest. So, and it's a roller, so you roll it up. But I put some on my chest, like right here. I can take some on my finger and I put it on my cheeks because my sinuses are all stuffed up. Now, I do get fumes and my eyes will probably weep a little bit, but that's okay because I'm trying to get rid of things. And the more often you use your product, the faster you're going to get better, okay? But that's a must. Whenever someone says, well, essential oils don't work and it didn't work, and it's like, okay, so what did you use? How often did you use it? Because a lot of times people will use it one time and think that that's all they need. This is not a medication like they have in the grocery store or at the pharmacy, okay? This is a natural substance that helps the body naturally. So you need to build it up. So every couple, 2 to 3 hours is better than once because you can't get on top of whatever's going on. So when we go into an apoptosis, which is a cell death. So when you have a cold, when you have the flu, whenever you have anything going on like that, it's because you have a cell that has been compromised and it now needs to be fixed or it needs to go bye-bye. And so the body is supposed to do that. And so what we're trying to do is keep it from replicating itself, because the more it replicates, the more sick you are. So we're trying to keep it from replicating so that we don't get as sick and so we get better faster. Okay. And okay. Can you guys still hear me? Thumbs up. Yes, no. Okay. Sometimes my internet is like sporadic, sometimes it's unstable. So now respiratory blend, which is the Breathe. We can also help with influenza, pneumonia, obviously, all those things. We also have cardamom in there, which is another one that's very good for anti-inflammatory and antiseptic. In fact, I put cardamom and Breathe together, or I'll put Breathe, cardamom, and lime together because lime is very good for respiratory support too. It just depends on what do I feel like I want to smell. What's the biggest smell that I want to do? And I can also do a tea. So like for me, while I'm stuffed up, you take a tea bag and then just, I don't put a full drop because sometimes you don't need a full drop. So I just take this, which has residue on it, and put that on my tea bag. And then like yesterday, I've been drinking a lot of spearmint and tangerine tea. And that's all it is. It's just water and tangerine oil, essential oil, and spearmint essential oil. So if you have an upset stomach, it's really good for that. But in this case, I want to get rid of the things that are going on. And then I'm putting Breathe in my diffuser and then doing the Breathe stick. Now, let me talk about this Breathe stick. This is a godsend for a lot of times because when it came out, Um, First off, I had a great grandson come to live with me. Well, mom too, for a while, and he was only like 4 days old when he came to live with me for a while. And every time he was nursing, it was just a bottle, but he was always having like he couldn't breathe. And so when he had his 1 week check, the doctor says, "Oh, that's normal. That's fine." And I'm like, "No, that's not normal." I'm sorry. They shouldn't sound like that. So we decided to use this. And so an infant, newborn, is you change their diapers quite regularly. And so we swiped his feet once every single time we changed the diaper. Best way to deliver something for respiratory support and safe for them, because this is not just the essential oil, this is other things too. And it wasn't but a few days later, and all this nasty green stuff came out of his nose. So my conclusion was that, and knowing this because of one of my children, that had this not happened, that child would have went back and been in the hospital with pneumonia. Not that they've been walking, it'd been called walking pneumonia, but with pneumonia. And who wants to go to the hospital these days with anything, especially right now? But that was like, what, 8 years, 7 years ago? Yeah. No, sorry, 5 years ago. I have to remember how old they are. His sister is older. Anyway, so that was a good thing for us to do. And I'm so happy that I had something for that. We went through a whole lot of stuff with it, and even thrush. And it was nice to have an arsenal of things that I could use for him. Now, on a emotional side of Breathe, this is a long time ago, and I don't know if Shannon wants to share the story, but I'll share it for her. Breathe was, so Shannon had and she's on, but she had an adult son who had a really bad motorcycle accident, cracked his helmet, and therefore he had a very dynamic brain injury. And of course, they started using essential oils immediately. It wasn't a good scenario. And so I reached out to one of our doctors through doTERRA, and I told her the story, and then it was like, I feel like we need to do more. And she comes back at me with a couple of oils, but the number one was Breathe. And I was like, what does Breathe freaking have to do with a brain injury? I was like dumbfounded. And I was like, okay, so think about this. I had to really, really think about it. So what I did is I went and looked up the emotional side of Breathe. And I was like, oh my Lord. And it was amazing. Breathe is the oil of breath, obviously, on the emotional side, but it addresses the inability to let go of grief and pain. And it helps in getting rid of the old, bringing in the new. And I remember Shannon telling us that they started that immediately on him, and they put it on his, I believe, if I remember right, it wasn't really on his chest, it was on his big toe, because he had a bunch of things on his chest. And because that's a I can't think, we got a reflex point. And so the respiratory therapist, if I remember right, was amazed how a few days later he didn't have any sounds in his chest that were gone. So it was like, wow, the power of an essential oil, incredible. And I was very grateful that we were able to help and that they knew what to do also. Yes, very powerful, very. And it's like, you know, yes, there's a lot of little things that we can do for when we share, but there's a lot of things that are even more. It it creates more. And there's been so many times when I have, like, again, I can't imagine my life without these anymore. And I never really wanted to do this as a business. I just wanted to share with people because I found myself learning about these essential oils. And then it was like, I'd listen to people go, "Hey, wait a minute, have you ever thought about anything natural?" I think I have something that could help you. And that's where it started. And that's all it takes when it comes to helping others. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Is help people. And when you can help them with something that's natural, oh my gosh, that's huge. And it makes you feel good, right? Look at the grandson. I just many times, many times. So think about these oils not only for what we're doing or what's going on physically, but what's going on emotionally. Another thing that in the Breathe family that they have is Breathe drops. Okay, so these are very good for respiratory support as well because they come in like a cough drop. Now, these are very potent to me, so I have to really be sick in order to use these. But there's others that literally live on them because they like them all the time. So it just depends on you. But it's the same idea, but it's blended so that you can internalize it, so you can ingest it. Okay. These have brown cane sugar in it. It's organic cane sugar, and organic brown rice syrup, lemon oil, peppermint, cardamom, eucalyptus, thyme, and Melissa. Melissa is a powerhouse. So if you've ever had something that was a ongoing cough and you just can't seem to get rid of it, Melissa is one of those powerhouses that you can probably, that you probably don't think about because most of us will not have it because it's a more spendy oil. But us that have a wholesale or our account, which is just being a wholesale customer, we can earn points. And so those points we can redeem for a product that's more spendy because I'm going to have some. I need to have things around my house anyway. And I'll tell you, I've had people here that tell me after the fact that, well, I'm allergic to horses. And it's like, well, what the heck are you doing out there patting the horses? But they do. How many of us do things that we probably shouldn't do, but we do it anyway? Or you're allergic to a dog, you're allergic to the cat, and you're around them anyway. So my go-to, and not Benadryl, is Tri-Ease, which is peppermint, lemon, and lavender together in a soft gel. It's a tiny soft gel. And you give them a couple of those and they're fine, typically. Now, if you are someone that is going to have that problem of throat closing up, I hope you're carrying an EpiPen because you'll need it. But this is something to help deal with those that don't need that EpiPen. Okay, but sometimes, and I could tell you countless stories. Even being stung by a bee on my cheek, my husband's been stung on the lip, and we've used our oils all the time, and we're fine. And I'm allergic to bees. I know I should carry an EpiPen, but I don't. I just have my arsenal, and I've never had a problem since, or I don't have those problems, those issues. So it's always fun to have those. So let me give you a couple of recipes. So here's a respiratory blend that you could utilize. It is 2 drops of Breathe, 2 drops of On Guard, and 2 drops of black pepper. I know, don't like pepper. Well, this is different. You can combine them all and use with fractionated coconut oil, and you can either put them in a roller bottle or you put them one at a time on your chest. Put your fractionated coconut oil on first, and then put 2 drops of Breathe, 2 drops of On Guard, 2 drops of black pepper. That's another way of being able to draw out what's going on inside, especially if you have that cough going on. Luckily, I don't have that, and you want to do that 3 to 5 times a day. The other thing that I'm doing is I take my frankincense and say frankincense, oregano, so frankincense, oregano, and On Guard, and I put it around my belly button. Why do I do that? Because that is the best place to put anything that's going on. So instead of here, I can just apply it to my belly button, because that's our lifeline to our whole body, right? And you guys put in the chat if you can't hear me, or if you have a question. So this is a way to get on top of things, and I do this about every 3 hours to get on top of it. Now, of course, I'm not doing this at night. I probably should set an alarm, but I want to sleep because I'm tired. But this is a good way to help in promoting and getting on top of whatever's going on, whether that's a virus, whether that's bacterial, whatever it is, you want to get on top of and help those cells recover so that you're not getting sicker. And actually, I am better today, and I just started doing on this regimen yesterday. I got things to do. I can't be sick forever. And so having these at my disposal makes it easy. And yes, I have a dry cough, and I forgot to bring my drink in here. I have a peppermint tea. So anybody have any questions at this time? Okay, so my internet is frozen. So am I back yet? So I told you, my internet can be unstable this time of night. Here.
You're cutting in and out.
Am I?
And it's spotty.
Oh, great.
and freezing, and then unfreezes, and then, yeah.
And then we're back at it again. Yeah. I might have to start using my tablet. Anyway, so I have a dry cough. My throat's dry, and I forgot to bring my drink in here. All right, so can you hear me right now? Are we good?
I can hear you now, but
okay.
Yeah, the video is really spotty.
Okay, unfortunately, I'll have to go back through and look at it. So anyhow, if you guys have a question, please ask me. And just know that everybody that has a wholesale account, you know, we already know that we get 25% off the retail prices, but it's when you are utilizing your oils, and especially this month. This month we can have frankincense for free, and we also are contributing to the Sanag new hospital in Somaliland, which is a first ever. I'm really proud of this company for doing that and helping get that hospital. And they've already been thousands of procedures that have been done there. And I think that's awesome, totally awesome. And they have the all of the state of the art and machines and medical devices. So I really commend doTERRA for doing that. So we've talked about the Breathe Touch. We've talked about the Breathe respiratory drops, the Breathe stick, and the Breathe oil itself. And I hope that you have found that that there's a lot more to these essential oils than what it seems, because there's so many ways of using these essential oils and helping one another. So if you know someone that has been stricken with grief, maybe the Breathe is really right up their alley to help in letting go of that grief and help them recover and bounce back to a more positive state. Even if it's just loan them a diffuser and then help them get out of that. So that's all I have for tonight. I hope that this was very enlightening. And does anybody have anything that they want to add? You can unmute yourself, and would love to have any comment. Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to wrap this up, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for sharing this story.
Oh, you're so welcome. Because
Thank you for sharing.
welcome. You're very welcome. Yes, and Shannon, yes, I share that story quite often. Or I should say your story. So it's not forgotten at all.
Yeah, breathe sometimes works faster than my inhaler. I have asthma, and I take that little bottle everywhere I go. I have a little pouch, and I just take it everywhere. I just never know, you know. So I just keep that and the 3 essential lemon, lavender, and peppermint. I keep those on hand at all times, but I also keep Breathe on hand because I never know if I'm going to have an attack. And if I can't get to my inhaler, I know Breathe is going to work.
That's true. Just like the story where we were like somewhere and it's like, who are these people? Do we know them? Because they literally flagged us down. Yeah. So yes, it's always nice to have something that that's easy to use and then help someone in time of need. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you for that.
You bet.
So with that, I'm going to pause the recording. Thank you for being here today. And we'll see you next Tuesday for continuing education. And we're still on the B's. So what do we have? So I'm going through A through Z. So I'm not sure what that next one will be, but we'll talk about it and I'll post it.
Cool. Sounds like fun.